I was thinking about my kids and how much,
round.
yeah, and how much I love them. And hey, I know you at home watching, Daddy. No matter what they say about me, I'm gonna continue to work hard, and that's what I did in there.
It's doubtful you were thinking about your kids when you hit him with that jab, but tell us now what happened here in the 5th round.
In the 5th round, I did what my trainer told me to do, stayed in there, and bang, the shot went home.
He was putting up a pretty good fight. The cards were basically even until this knockout here as we go to the end of the fight. Did you feel as though it was an even fight?
I was getting stronger. I was finding myself. I wanted to be myself all camp, and I'm not gonna let you all rob me of my character. I never disrespect this dude ever until I knocked him out.
And there's the end of the fight. Now you've stated that you would like to go up to 160. Was this your last fight at 154?
I'm at 154 pounds if it's a good big fight for me, but
your brother you're not gonna fight, so that
my brother holds the WBC. My chip mate holds the WBA. Canelo got the WBO. I'm down to unify. That's what. Where you at, Cinnamon? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at, Cinnamon? You heard it.
Canelo Alvarez calling him out. Congratulations. Appreciate your time.
Lines on me, baby.
All right. Mo, back to you.
Let's play the name game for a second. A while back, I was making a point that Vasyl Lomachenko's first name was actually Vasily Lomachenko, and some guy told me I didn't know what I was talking about, and then he got some thumbs up on my YouTube channel comments. I mean, that's cool. Do your research. It's Vasily Lomachenko. Okay. He got a LOL and whatever else. So let's talk about the guy who won on Saturday night, the co-feature on Showtime. You know him as Jermall Charlo, but that's not how you pronounce his last name. It's actually Jermall Charlo. So don't say it like charcoal, like the stuff you when you have a cookout, the charcoal. Say it like Charlotte, like the city in North Carolina. So it's Jermall Charlo. Don't take my word for it, folks. Do the research yourself. So anyway, Jermall Charlo won the fight Saturday night by stoppage over Julian Williams. 5th round stoppage. So let's talk about the fight. I've heard some people refer to the first round as a feel-out round, and I couldn't disagree more. I mean, both guys came out sharp, throwing crisp punches. I saw jabs, I saw counters, left hooks, lead hooks, power shots, movement. I saw everything in the first round. So, no, I mean, I think both guys tried to set the tone early. It wasn't a chess match. I mean, if you watch round one again, it was a fast-paced, and both guys let their hands go on numerous occasions. And if you want to get that round to Williams, I can't argue with you. Round two, Julian Williams landed a good counter left hook and a big right hand. However, he landed those shots after being knocked down with a jab. And something wasn't right with his legs. It may be that he got up too early. I'm not 100% sold on that. but he recovered well, and he landed a fantastic counter left hook to Charlo after going down, and a big right hand afterward to come back nicely in that round. However, as I stated, he was on wobbly legs, and listen, the reason why he got dropped with the jab has to do with technical deficiencies. And we could talk about that in a little bit. It has to do with Julian Williams kind of leaning to the left a little, and I'll get to that in a second. The third and fourth rounds were close rounds. Williams began to land his counter right hand and some hooks in those rounds. And once again, if you gave the first, the third, the fourth round to Julian Williams, I can't argue with you. Now, the fifth round, in which the fight ended, I saw something that I've never seen before. Julian Williams threw a jab, and Jermall Charlo blocked it with his right hand. And Williams immediately threw a right behind the jab, and Jermall Charlo blocked it with that same right hand. And immediately after blocking the left-right 1-2 combination, he threw an uppercut to drop Julian Williams with the same right hand. So it's like what Williams did was jab, right hand. And what Charlo did was block the jab, block the right hand, uppercut with the right hand. I mean, it's like everything was done with one hand. It's I've never seen that before. He blocked the jab with his right hand. He blocked the right hand with his right hand. And then he immediately threw a right uppercut and dropped Julian Williams. That's, I want to say you can't teach that, but boy, I guess you can teach it, but to see it executed at a high level against quality opposition is just, boy, it's poetry in motion. Now, the reason he landed, and he said he worked on it. Preparation was key in this fight. He said he worked on it, and what Ronnie Shields told Jermall Charlo to do is when he throws those combinations, stay in the pocket and then let the uppercut go. And if you go back to my prior video, I spoke in terms of if somebody gets knocked down or someone gets knocked out in this fight, I just had a sense that it would come from a counter punch. The jab was a counter to, in the second round, the jab that knocked Williams down was a counter by Charlo to a jab that Williams threw. And then when he knocked him down the second time, which was the first knockdown in the fifth round, once again it was a counter to the 1-2, a counter uppercut. I mean, whew. So let's talk about the trainers. You got Ronnie, okay, Shields. If you ever listen to Ronnie Shields in the corner between rounds, he says the word okay at least 10 times between rounds and over 100 times in a fight. Okay? Here's what I need you to do, Jermall. Okay? Listen. Okay? Stand there. Okay? When he comes in, hold your ground and let the uppercut go. Okay? I mean, that's Ronnie Shields. So that's my nickname for him, Ronnie OK Shields. Listen. These are technical flaws that Ronnie Shields saw on tape. He's a great trainer. He's an excellent trainer. If you go back and look at Julian Williams' fight with the guy Matano, as I said in the prior video, sometimes Williams leaves himself open. Listen, check the video. I said this before the fight. Open for counters. I also said that the fight, if it was going to end early, it's going to be on counter shot by either guy. If you look at Julian Williams' fight with Medina, I think it's Michael Medina, I believe his name was, same deal. There's some moments in those fights where those guys weren't going to win, but I'm telling you, if I get a chance to talk to Ronnie Shields, he's gonna admit that he saw some things on tape. He might not tell me what they were, but it takes a trained eye to see some things. And I think that this is something that was part of their game plan, and they worked it. And they needed it because more than likely, Charlo was down on the cards, even with the knockdown. So, but he had the showstopper. He had something in his hip pocket, and that's that power shot. Stephen Edwards. Now, I might upset some people with what I'm going to say, and that's okay. You know, I'm not here to get a bunch of thumbs up and a bunch of likes and so on for YouTube. I'm here to just analyze, report, give opinion, and that's just what I do. And I understand Edwards is an up-and-coming trainer, but I call it as I see it. And Edwards seems like a good guy. I kicked it with him some years back at the Yankee Stadium. I believe it was Miguel Cotto versus Yuri Foreman. We chatted it up for about 20 minutes, talking this and that. I don't even know if Julian Williams was on his radar back then. Listen, if your guy's getting dropped by a jab, let me just say this. If your guy's getting dropped by a jab that you say is the best, if your guy has the best jab in the division, as you say, but he gets dropped by another guy's jab, to me it's a training issue. And what I mean is, I'm speaking in terms of execution. The bottom line is the fighter's in the ring, but if there's some technical flaws, those flaws have to be worked out prior to a fight of this nature. You may get away with it versus a Matano or a Medina or what have you, but when you step the game up, there's some things that get exposed sometimes, and they're not major, but that's when you talk about 50-50 fights and world-class level and things of that nature, the smallest thing, and you're talking about a trained eye of Ronnie Shields, he probably picked up on some things, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and say, we saw some things on tape. I haven't heard them say that, but it just, I think their preparation allowed them to see some things and they took advantage of it. Not to say that he wasn't losing. Charlo was losing more than likely. You could call it even, what have you. Notwithstanding the knockdown, of course. For Edwards, something in the post-fight press conference that bothered me. He said that Julian never recovered from the knockdown. He never got his legs back. And at first, I'm like, my thought was, yeah, it was a devastating uppercut. It would be hard for anybody that got hit that solid at that weight class to recover from. But come to find out, Edwards was actually talking about the jab that Charlo, got to get used to that. So if I say Charlo, hey, the jab that Charlo dropped him with in the second round, that's what he was talking about, that Williams' legs never recovered from that. And my question is this. What instructions did you give him for you to say that when it was 3 rounds later that the fight ended? I mean, if you're saying a hard jab took his legs that bad, and 3 rounds later he still didn't have his legs off of a hard jab, well, again, then either you're saying your guy has no chin at all, or there are some technical flaws you need to fix. This wasn't equilibrium. This wasn't a shot on the temple, it was a jab, a hard jab. To me, when I look at Julian Williams, he has this a hitch. He has a double hitch. Julian has this little side to side old man type walk when he's boxing. It's kind of like a pimp walk almost, like one of the legs is damaged or something. It's kind of like this old man's kind of bop, kind of left to right. I can't explain it, but just imagine one of those old heads, one of those guys that was in the game for years and now he walks with a little bit of a limp. That's kind of like, that's the one hitch. And then the other hitch is, it's kind of like the track sprinter guy years ago, and he was the fastest man, and then he challenged Michael Johnson, Donovan Bailey from Canada, by way of whoever, Jamaica, I think, or what have you. Donovan Bailey was the world's fastest man, and then Michael Johnson he was the record holder at one point in the 200 meters and 400 meters, and he seemed unbeatable. So Donovan Bailey challenged him to a race at 150 meters. Johnson took it because the plan was on that turn, that's where Johnson took you. 100 meters, you might be ahead of him, but when they do that little turn on the track, that's when he ate you up. So when the race actually came off, I'm like, you know what? That hitch might wind up getting Bailey. But Bailey got out fast, and then Johnson pulled up with that fake injury. And it was kind of like the Jim Brown, Franco Harris thing back in the day. It was staged, if you ask me. But anyway, so Williams, he kind of does the hitch with his leg, which sometimes is not noticeable, so I'll give him a pass on that. But he leans to the left before throwing his jab. It's like a giveaway. If you have a trained eye, which I'm not saying it was Jermall Charlo's eye, I'm saying that it's something that Ronnie Shields probably picked up, and you can kind of time it. It's just a little flaw, a technical flaw that was picked up. But he didn't just time it. He timed it the first time with that jab. When the second knockdown happened, which is the first knockdown in the 5th round, he blocked, uppercut. He stood in. That's something else they worked on. Not backing out, but standing in there and throwing that big shot. I'm telling you, they saw these technical flaws. You can get mad at me if you want. I'm telling you what I saw. So let's talk about the aftermath immediately after. Let's talk about sportsmanship. Now, I'm probably going to upset some more people with this. I know the history of not only the little bit of a grudge between these two guys, but also Jermall's high-strung personality. And respect is a big thing with Jermall Charlo. And listen, respect is the biggest thing with me in my life, so I dig it. Trust me, I dig. Now, let me stop right here. I'm not defending Jermall Charlo. What he did was wrong. However, as Americans, we are hypocrites sometimes. Allow me to explain. When you talk about Olympic athletes, a majority of them are amateurs, right? And what's some of the biggest things with Olympic competition or amateur competition? But let's just say Olympic competition. Pride in your country. Everybody's proud to represent their country, wear the colors, raise the flag, so on and so forth. Competition. You want to compete. Fielding your best athletes from your country's best. You have the Olympic heats, the trials, the 100 dash, the gymnasts have to go against each other. I mean, you want to field your best athletes. But the one thing we're always told from day one about amateur competition, about Olympic competition, it's all about one thing. And that one thing is called sportsmanship. Respect for your opponents, respect for other countries competing against you, sportsmanship. Okay? So, when the 1972 United States Olympic basketball team was robbed by the officials in the basketball final versus Russia, the United States refused. They took a vote. All right, and they refused to accept their silver medals. Just said, no, we're mad, you cheated us. Hey, look, they were cheated. But remember, Olympic competition is about sportsmanship. All right, and this is back when, not when the pros played, but when the amateurs, when college athletes and so forth played. So, by not accepting their medal, were they any better than Jermall Charlo was on Saturday? Yet nobody boos them or calls them bad sports. They're like, yeah, we got cheated. I got their back. But that's not what it's all about. So when Doug Collins and all those others cry about not winning, and they hold their chest up high because they voted not to accept the silver medals, that's good sportsmanship, right? Is that what you're telling me? I mean, you're going to boo them? Did anybody boo them back then? So, I understand Charlo won, and I understand the United States lost, but it's all about sportsmanship, especially in the Olympics. So years later, a couple of guys, I think in the late 90s or something, they said they would take their medals. They didn't really, I think the few guys that took it, they didn't really play in the final, but they felt obligated to vote along with the rest of their teammates not to do the medal. But hey, so anyway, Jermall Charlo, to his credit, he tried to go over and apologize to Williams after kind of dissing him in the corner, and then somebody from Williams' corner kind of jumped, and it just, he didn't get a chance then, so he started arguing again. And later on, he at the post-fight interview, he apologized, and then they shook hands in the hallway or whatever they did afterwards. So, look, if you're gonna call it one way, call it the other way. And once again, I'm not excusing the kid, but keep it real. I mean, wrong is wrong. Just don't cite this example and look at others and give them passes. That's the point I'm trying to make. But both sides were wrong. That 72 team as well as Charlo. Just didn't take Charlo 40-something years to get over it. But some of them I think they still don't want the medals. Those few guys that accepted them, I guess they're probably no longer in the fraternity, huh? Probably looked at as traitors. So let's talk about what's next. Make no mistake about it, Julian Williams was in there with a super middleweight on Saturday night. And it's funny because I thought the IBF had this rule where you could only rehydrate 10 pounds heavier than the weight. And I can tell you, excuse me, by the naked eye, Jermall Charlo was at least 15 pounds heavier than the weight limit. So I'm not sure. Got to check with the IBF on that one. So what's next? Well, Charlo got called out by Demetrius Andrade in the post-fight press conference. Good effort on Andrade's part. I mean, he needs to do something. And I guess this was his way of saying, let's make it work. Don't know if it will, but it's out there on wax now, so for everybody to see. So Andrade called Charlo out. Charlo called Saul Canelo Alvarez out. So what's it going to be? Well, I think in March, Gennady Golovkin is going to fight a guy named Andy Lee, which opens a nice window for Jermall Charlo. I think Charlo could fight Danny Jacobs because the negotiations and the purse bid with Golovkin, I think they're both going to be failures. And it's not going to work. But somehow if they allow him to keep that version that he has, the regular version of the belt, which is really just a money grab, I'd like to see Charlo test Danny Jacobs. You got two big punchers. It's a risky jump because it's a different weight class for Charlo. At the same time, it's a belt. It gives him some leverage. It gives him a title, maybe in two different classes, and it's a winnable fight for both guys, and it's easier to make with their manager, them having the same manager slash promoter slash advisor. Call it what you want. I just can't see Al Heyman and Oscar making a deal, doing business, at least not in the immediate future. So I don't think that Alvarez fight can happen or will happen. Although Alvarez has expressed interest in fighting 3 times in 2017, but we'll see. We'll see. As far as Julian Williams, I think first of all, he needs to rest. He needs to recuperate, do something for himself with whatever the paycheck he got, and then come back and fight a decent guy who's not a big puncher, but also a guy who's still a legitimate threat and not a pushover. so he can work on the flaws in his game. A guy that's going to give him some rounds, that's going to push him, but allow Williams to work on his technical flaws and try to perfect them. As I stated, they're not a lot, but there's enough that he can work on if he's going to be a legitimate champion in the future. Not a bogus champion, not a paper champion, but legit. A legit champion as his trainer, and as I think he can be. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Fight Journal. Make sure you sign up to our YouTube channel. We're going to be giving away money in 2017 and some prizes, so you definitely want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as that will be a requirement to qualify. Check out our friends at DPG Uncut TV. For the latest hip hop and entertainment news. They got some good stuff coming up. They got some good stuff coming up in 2017. That's all I can say right now. I don't want them to. I don't want to make Daz or any of those guys mad at me. So I'll leave it at that. And what we got next week? Bernard Hopkins fighting Joe Smith Jr. And that's right back in Cali, right back in LA, right back in California next week. So we'll catch you on the next one.